Hi, welcome to Miniezhhops How to Sculpt videos with myself, Elizabeth, and today we'll be making little owls. My favorite part of these how-to videos is seeing what you guys sculpt, so if you feel free to send me a photo of something you've been inspired to make from these videos, I can feature it at the end of a future video. Alright, let's get sculpting.
You'll need a work mat. I often just use a piece of paper, some clay, a light gray, a nice yellow, white, and black. You'll also need a potter's needle, a silicone dowel tool, and a ball end tool. If you don't have those, your fingers can work as a ball end tool, a toothpick can work as a potter's needle, and a pen tip can work as a silicone dowel tool. Also a little bit of tin foil. Begin by taking your tin foil and just making it into a little piece about this big, kind of like a gumdrop shape. Take your light gray and warm it up between your fingers. We warm it up so it doesn't crack in the oven because it's really discouraging when that happens. Once you've warmed it up, I always roll the clay into a ball just to smooth out any lines. And then once we have that, we'll press it flat, still a little bit thick. Take our tin foil, set the clay on top of it, and fold it over. Make sure there are no air bubbles in there too, because those can expand and pop in the oven. We'll just smooth down the edges so that it's a nice little gumdrop shape, and kind of think about which way you want your little owl to be sitting. I always like to have the little tummy kind of sticking out further. So this is going to be the front of my owl. As you can see, it's kind of rolling that way, like it's leaning back. So just kind of keep smoothing and tapping so that you have this little slightly rolled back look. And set it on your tabletop to see if it stands. If it does, that's really good. If not, just twist it a little bit. Then we're going to take our silicone dowel tool and roll it all the way around, starting about a third of the way down, just barely above half. Roll it all the way around the little owl to give the head some distinction from the body. I know you see those edges are kind of sharp, so we're going to smooth them with our fingers. Smooth them all the way around, up and down. Once you have that, you may think that your head is the right size, or if you would like to add some more clay, make sure to warm it up first. You can roll it into a ball to make it smooth, and then kind of roll it into a flat piece of clay, and you can set that over to make the head bigger. I like to do a flat piece of clay because it makes it more even across rather than adding lots of little pieces. If you wanted your little owl to be very fluffy looking, you could do that, but you can also add pieces like that later. And I'm leaving a lot of room for artistic interpretation here, because what I may think is cute on my little owl, you may not, and you may have an owl shape that just comes out in the shape that you would really like it to be, and that's the fun part about sculpting. Everything is pretty much unique. Okay, once you have that, put a little indent right here around where the bottom of the head will be and smooth it out. Then make just ever so slightly a line down the middle with my potter's needle, just barely a tap. And then I'm going to make another line across the center of where I'm calling the head, so the center of this portion, barely a tap. To take this bald end, you can also take your thumb, and on one side of that line, I'm just going to press and wiggle back and forth. Press and wiggle. And if it's not an exact circle, I'm going to smooth it out on the edges. And then on the other side of the line, making sure there's a tiny bit between each of these two indents, I'm going to make another little circle press. Now you may see that they look too far apart or too close together. You can decide if that looks like a good distance apart for you. You can keep it. If not, you can smooth it out or add more clay and redo it. Once you have that, take a little bit of white clay, warm it up, and then we are going to take about as much as we think will fit into one of those indents, roll that into a ball between our fingers, and then we are going to split it into two. Once you have those rolled into two little balls, you're going to just flatten them between your fingers. Once they're flat, you're going to set them in those indents and see if they're a good size. We're going to indent these again. We want these to be slightly smaller because when they're pressed, they're going to spill out a little bit and become bigger than they were. So take your ball end tool and just press into that white in the center. Kind of roll it around, and then the other one, roll it around a little bit, and then you can tap if your circle has become more of an oval. There you are. Now we're going to take some yellow clay, about half as much as we took of the white clay. We're going to split it into two, roll those into balls, and then we're going to flatten them. So I like to set these flattened circles on the inner side of the white, and then on the next one. Then I'm going to indent those again. I'm going to take my silicone dowel tool and indent about 2/3 over in the yellow on both sides. Take this bald end and tap into those indents that you've just made. We're going to add the little eye portions, but first, take your potter's needle. Starting at the center here, we're going to slightly press. Don't pull, otherwise if you pull, the edges will splay out. Just ever so slightly press. Press around this little circle, and I'm leaving some space between the outside of the yellow circle and where the lines end, just for fun. So there we are for that. Then we're going to take some black clay, and we'll take about 1/4 as much as we took for one of the yellow portions of the eyes and split it into 2, rolling them into balls and then setting them in those little indents to see if they're the right size. I think I like the size of that one, so I'm going to just tap it in. I'm going to set the other one in and see if I like the size of it too. Alright, we're going to take our white clay. We'll take about twice as much as we took for the white clay previously. We'll again roll it into a ball, and once we have that ball, we're going to flatten it again. But this time we're going to take our finger and tap the top of that flattened ball, holding it so it doesn't move, so that it makes kind of a half circle. And we can pull the sides just a little bit to make it more of a half circle. So this is for the tummy portion. So we're going to set that on our little owl, see if it's a good size. If you like the size that it is, which I do, you can tap it in like this, smoothing those edges down so it doesn't look like it jumps from one piece of clay to the next piece of clay. To do the beak, we'll take about half as much clay as we took for one of the yellow eyes. Make sure it's warmed up and roll it into a ball. And then what you're going to do is make a little triangle with your finger and take the little bit of clay on your other finger and press it into a triangle. This may take a couple of attempts, but eventually you'll have a very cute little beak. You can set it on your owl. I like to put it right in the middle of the eyes. Okay, once you have the beak, take about twice as much gray clay as you took for the whites of the owl's eyes. Split it in 2, roll those into balls, and we're going to make them into a teardrop shape by making a little triangle with our fingers again and rolling back and forth. And then we will just set those on our owl about 2/3 of the way up and back from the eye, rolling it into a little teardrop shape and pressing it on our little owl. Take our silicone dowel tool and make an indent onto that ear so that it's the shape you would like it, and then you can smooth it down all the way around so that it doesn't fall off, all the way around on both sides. Take about 1/8 of much clay as is on the head, split it into 2, and those will be the little wings. We'll roll those into balls as well and make little teardrop shapes again. And then we'll set them on the owl, maybe kind of like they're doing a little curtsy, and you can make them bigger or smaller as you would like. And then smooth those in all the way around. We're getting close to the end. There's just a few more details to do. All right, we're making the feet. Take your yellow clay, and we're going to take about as much clay as you took for each of the yellow eye circles. Roll those into balls and then roll them back and forth between your fingers. Tap around the edge so that's nice and smooth, and then set that where you would like your owl's little foot to be. Again with the other one, set it where you want the other little foot to be. And then we'll take about the same amount of clay for both sides, but split those into 2. So each claw surrounding the large claw will be about half the size of the large claw. So we're going to make the little owl eye sparkles. We'll take our white clay and flick some clay off of it. We can roll it into a ball if you want it to be a nice little perfect ball. And then we'll just tap that onto the eye. But before we tap it all the way in, we'll make sure it's the right size. I'll tap that on. Now we'll add the texturing for the owl. First, I like to make a few little etch marks on the ears. And then we're going to take our silicone dowel tool and we're going to make a little indent. So you kind of press in, push down, pull. Press, push down, and remove. So we'll do that for the entirety of our little owl. Press down, pull, in, down, pull. And you can make your little owl have whatever texture you would like. That's a fun little part of it. You could even make the sort of texture that is around the eyes inside of these little indents. Or you could leave your owl without texture too. It all depends on what you would like to do. Texturing takes a while, but on such a small piece, it's not too time consuming, just slightly. I'd love to see the little owls that you guys make. Seeing your creations is my favorite part of these how-to videos. If you share the photos and would like me to share them at the end of one of my upcoming videos, I will. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you had fun. Have a great day. Bye.